So today we're going to talk about Balzac, and Pascal Malin is a French teacher of history, and he has been also very interested in literature, and he's read nearly all of Balzac's books. And so here we have and seen a lot of his films about him and that sort of thing. So here is somebody who is quite an expert on the matter, and we want to ask Pascal just to talk about what he thinks about Balzac and you know, his experience with it, with reading his books. Yeah. So.
Okay. Alors, Honoré de Balzac is a French writer of the 19th century. He was born in Tours, central France, in 1799, at the end of the 18th century, after the Révolution Française, at the end of the French Revolution. And he died in 1850. He was only 51 years old. And he was living in the countryside in France. And his parents got some money, and one time they decided to leave countryside to go to Paris. And he was a teenager at that time, and he went to school, and he was a good student, good pupil at school. And he read a lot when he was at school. He read a lot of books. Everything he could read, he was reading, and so it made him a kind of expert in philosophy. He read a lot of philosophy books and history books and literature, of course. And when he was 18, his father decided him to study law. But he was interested in law, but not so much. He didn't say it to his father. And he became trainee lawyer in Paris. And at the age of 20, he said to his parents, "I want to stop studying and want to become a writer." Something like this. And his parents accepted and say, "We give you 2 years to do something with this." And he stayed in Paris and wrote for newspapers, as writers did at that time. He started writing some novels, some fictions, also science fiction books, and he didn't know great success with this. And but he met people who told him to continue working and to encourage him to do it.
Yeah.
And so he wrote a lot. And when he was around 30 years old, he started becoming famous, and he started writing his masterpiece, which is called Human Comedy, La Comédie Humaine. It's more or less 100 novels, 100 books about the society of his time, about what we call the bourgeoisie. At that time, we are in 1820, 1830. You have in France a bourgeoisie with people working in banks, working in commercial things, who get money through the work, compared to the aristocracy, which didn't work. Bourgeoisie is working, and these people have money, have power, and he was interested in these people, especially these people, and he was also interested in poor people, because these poor people were working most of the time for these rich people, of course. And in his novels, he explains how these people are dealing all together and what happens to those who want to go from one
social class
to another one. It's very interesting. And Balzac is known because in his books he makes a lot of descriptions, a lot of details about places. He's talking about people, about the outfit of people, about the mind of these people, and the characters of Balzac are always very precise.
Yes.
And one thing also which is interesting in Balzac novels, you can find the same characters in different books. They go from one book to another. It's the first one we decided to make a story, and in his novels you find some people you know because you read another book in which they appeared. This is very interesting.
Yes.
And this was not common at that time.
No.
And He was also very inspired by women because Balzac loved women. He had a lot of, let's say, girlfriends. I
Yes.
can say this word, girlfriends. And he married one at the end of his life. A few months before he died, he married the Countess Anska, which was from Poland, was a rich woman. After 17 years of relations, but 17 years long, he had also other relations with other women, but he was very in love with this woman. And in his books, something interesting is that for the first time, women have also power, that importance, and if men run the world, women are behind the men. There is no powerful man without women behind him or close to him, and it's what he described in his novels. And when he died, when Balzac died, Victor Hugo, who was the author living at the same time, because they were contemporains in French. Victor Hugo was the last person who visited him in his room before dying, and when he was buried, Victor Hugo said he was the first, the biggest writer of his time. He said about Balzac.
Yes.
So it means that when he was alive at that time, he was famous, already famous, and famous, but he had no money. He spent a lot of money all his life. He bought things. He made a lot of projects also to make money. It never really succeeded. Only literature succeeded, but all these projects not. And when he died, he was completely poor. He had no money anymore.
I thought he married this rich woman. So
he married this rich woman, of course, and she decided when he died to pay his debt, and also she accepted, because it was in the dans le Testament.
In the New Testament.
The Balzac.
The new will.
Well, she decided to give some money to his mother until
She
the
died.
end of her life.
Yes,
she did it.
Yes.
She did it. And in Paris now, we lived in different places in Paris. But you have one house in the 16th district, à Passy, Métro Passy, rue Renoir.
Yes.
It's the only place where there is a museum, Balzac Museum in Paris. He lived in other places also, but this one is the one dedicated to Balzac and this big French writer.
And his and Rodin did his statue, like the statue is in.
Alors, voilà. As he was probably one of the biggest writers in his century, the French government asked to a famous sculptor, Rodin, Auguste Rodin, to make a statue of Balzac. And Rodin did it, but the statue was refused. Refused because he looked not really like people are waiting for. I mean, when you imagine a writer, you imagine someone well
dignified.
dressed.
Yes.
And in fact, Rodin knew that when Balzac was writing, he was dressed like a monk with a white or brown long dress.
Yes.
With a
belt.
Yes, with a belt. And he did it like this. And Balzac was he was not thin. He was a little bit fat, and he did it like this, like he was. And so the statue was refused, and after Rodin died, it was again
accepted.
accepted.
And yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Voilà.
Okay, so let's.